This week we're reviewing Tigers Are Not Afraid. Vuelven if you're nasty.
If you're nasty? What is that supposed to mean?
That's a little interesting.
Might be a outdated reference for you folks. It's my specialty.
Is this a metal thing?
Yes. Little taste.
David, what is this?
Pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm Bryce Hanson, the crime boss, and with me is Sydney Lee, the trusted advisor, and Max Allen, the soldier boy.
I finally took a shower.
Yay!
Yay!
I went a full week without a shower.
Wow.
So disgusting.
Congrats. So you just had more confidence in showing off your ass while you're dancing?
Yeah, I was feeling myself.
You felt
Nice and
clean.
clean boy.
Also joining us this week is horror writer and illustrator Alicia Berbenick.
Yes, hello.
Everyone, welcome.
Yay.
Thank
She's
you.
going to join us today and help us review Tigers Are Not Afraid. If you're new to the show, we review a single horror movie every week. New theatrical releases always get priority. But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Be sure to share. Later on in the show, we're going to be playing a game called The Doom Zoom. So it's a visual game. You might want to join us on YouTube this time.
Oh, hell yeah. I can't wait.
Also, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/horrormovietalk if you want to support us and if you like the show. That is probably the best way you can do it. If you want to add your P to the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail, and we'll answer your questions, possibly on the air. Got a great show today. We'll be reviewing Tigers Are Not Afraid. We'll start off by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And later on, like I said, we got a game called The Doom Zoom, where I'll show you guys a zoomed in portion of a famous horror movie poster, and you have to guess which horror movie poster it is. But before we get there, just want to introduce a little deeper Alicia Berbenick. She is a horror-obsessed writer and illustrator specializing in horror film-inspired imagery for books, podcasts, cover art, alternative film posters, and other collectibles. Her horror zine, Resident Easel, combines original illustrations and short critiques with film fan letterbox reviews. Each issue focuses on a micro-genre of horror, including pregnancy horror, women doppelgangers, space horror, fairy tale horror, and the upcoming Western horror. She also curates a yearly horror movie marathon in October, and plays in 2 New York City rock bands.
Hell yeah.
Anything else you want to tell us about yourself, Alicia?
I do way too much, like a lot of us, like nerds. But yeah, so Resident Easel is the next thing I'm most closely working on. As you mentioned, the Western horror issue is going to come out. I am shooting for July, like dead of summer. And all the illustrations that I'm kind of coming up with, you can check them out on my Instagram, which is Benny and the Jesuits. That's my username.
I'm obsessed with that.
Thank you.
I love that. I'm assuming you're a huge Dune fan because I am a huge Dune. Do you see the books?
Yes.
They're all right there. Yeah.
Yes,
Love
I do.
Dune.
It did come to me as I was reading, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's
That's
so
perfect.
Benny and the Jesuits, Benny and the Jesuits Studio. It is spelled like Benny Jesuit priestesses. So the website, my website, you can find everything from my Etsy link to all of the posters and artwork that I've done at bennyandthejesuits.com. And then my Instagram handle, like I've said, is Benny _, and with all the underscores. You'll find it. We're all smart.
So you can find Resident Easel if you're a New York resident. Where can they find it?
Oh, yeah.
In person.
At Forbidden Planet, Quimby's, Vinyl Fantasy in Bushwick, and You and Me Books in in the lower parts of Manhattan. So
otherwise, you can get the zine through your Etsy, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
Or just email me. I'm always around.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you contribute to this episode and encourage our listeners to go check out Benny and the Jesuits on Instagram and support Alicia. Do you have, I'm assuming, on your Etsy like posters for sale and stuff?
Yeah, I have a ton of posters for sale. I make mugs. I make stickers.
Why don't you pull up the Etsy, Bryce?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Why don't I do that?
One of my latest things are folk horror air fresheners.
Ooh.
What do they smell like?
Well, they're all based on a different folk horror film. I'm not sure where they are on the site. They're somewhere here. Oh, there they are. Right next to the Make Fascist Afraid Again Devil's Backbone sticker. The folk horror fresheners. I have a witch one that smells like apples.
Nice.
Yeah.
Apples. Okay, I thought you said assholes. I'm like,
oh,
I'll pass.
No, that'll be a different.
Yeah, no thanks.
But you were inspiring me. Maybe I find a different film for that one.
Make it
that's Human Centipede. That's Human Centipede.
Yeah. Blair Witch Project. It says College Kid Tears, but it's really CK1. That one turned out to be the best smeller.
Awesome.
Yeah. And
so cool.
Midsommar.
I like the Midsommar one. That's
that
beautiful.
one smells like bluebells and lilies at the valley. So
That's a really fun idea.
thank
That is
you.
really cool.
I was
So
trying
as
to
an artist, can you rate my background? Because I drew this specifically for this episode.
Wait, did you really?
I did.
I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you. I tried to do the style of the artwork that the kids draw in this movie.
I was gonna ask where it's from because it's the colors you chose. Very harmonious. I love it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Very bright in contrast to this movie that's not very colorful.
Yeah. Speaking of, Bryce, why did you choose this movie? Because as I'm watching it, I'm like, there's almost no horror involved in this movie. It's just sad. It's just a sad movie.
Well, we'll talk about that.
We should get into it, right?
Yeah,
let's
we
jump
should.
into it. So Tigers Are Not Afraid can be found right now on AMC Plus / Shudder. And Hoopla.
This motherfucker and his Hoopla can't, like, every movie. It's on Hoopla. Who's ever downloaded that app besides Bryce?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to save our listeners money. Hoopla, you can access through your library
Canopy
card.
is way more well known and used, though.
Yeah, but sometimes there's stuff on Hoopla that's not on Canopy. So
This man is absolutely being paid by Hoopla.
Tigers Are Not Afraid is a horror / fantasy / drama that takes place in a border Mexican town. I think it's a nameless Mexican town. I don't think they specify it. But it's devastated by drug cartel crime. Estraa is a young girl who is given 3 wishes by a teacher, and after she discovers her mother has been killed, she joins a gang of other child orphans. While they're on the run from the cartel, Estraa tries to use her wishes, but they don't come true how she wants them to, and she is haunted by the ghosts of cartel victims. This is a beautiful and ugly movie. You quickly realize that the real horror in this movie is the reality in which these kids live and not from the supernatural elements. It's reminiscent of early Guillermo del Toro movies and reminds me a lot of City of God, if you've seen that movie, the Brazilian movie about the, what do they call it? The Favelas? No. What do they
I've
call
never
it?
seen it.
I haven't
It's
seen
been
it
a
either.
long time, but I know
Favelas,
yes.
in the hills of Rio. However, this film is unique in its composition and blend of genres. The majority of the plot and suspense comes from the dramatic real-life elements of the story. You're drawn in by these children who are too young, too helpless, and too poor. They are pathetic in the truest sense of the word, since the strongest emotions elicited by the film are pity and sadness. The supernatural and horror elements of the film are ever present, but they take a backseat for the most part. The audience is given room to interpret whether they're real or only in the mind of Australia. For me, it's an undeniably effective film. I was brought to tears several times throughout the movie, especially in the end. It's a beautifully evocative film. Moments of beauty are created in the ugly apocalyptic surroundings. Moments of wonder and hope are present but rare, giving contrast to the horrors surrounding these little kids. It's a great film, and, you know, I watched it on Thursday, and I've been thinking about it ever since. I'd put it up against any of my favorites in the genre. I could see the criticism that, like, is this really a horror movie? I mean, it's undeniably that, like, they use, you know, supernatural horror elements, and it's very interesting, the juxtaposition of just real life horrors and then trying to wedge in, you know, some supernatural kind of artificial dread, and it just is no comparison to what the real life of these kids are, and it makes you think, like, yeah, this is actually going on, and it's terrifying. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, when Max texted, is this even a horror movie? I totally agree. Like, I see what you're saying, where you're saying, like, the supernatural and horror elements of the film are ever present, but it's like you immediately understand that the supernatural and horror elements are just the way that these kids process this trauma that happens to them. Like, so her, like, Estraa seeing her mother dead all the time is just like, oh, this is just how her brain is going to process how this is happening, which is so sad, and it's awful. I think, like, you're right, like, the true horror in it is just the reality. But I don't know. I feel like our listeners are probably going to get a little mad at us if they watch this movie, and they're probably going to be like, "What the hell?" But I haven't seen a lot of Mexican cinema, which is a shame, because this movie is amazing. I did see this movie a while back called "I'm No Longer Here," I think. Or it's "I'm No Longer There." I think it's "I'm No Longer Here," and it's about a kid who witnesses a cartel killing, and they're going to go get him because he witnessed this crime, even though he promises not to tell. And he literally has to illegally flee to America to get away from this, just so he can survive, just so his family can survive in Mexico. And it's a deeply, deeply sad movie, but it's also full of a lot more hope than this. This is a really hopeless movie. It's really sad. And having kids just go through that, it's just awful. But it's a very excellent movie. It's very well made. I don't think it's perfect. Like, I think I'm giving points off because it's not super horror-y. And I was a little like, well, I feel like I can predict what's going to happen. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, but I still loved it.
Max, what do you say?
So I want to clarify real quick that when I say, like, this isn't a horror movie, I don't actually care. Like, this show has reviewed Barbie. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And I don't think that putting these hard lines on what is and isn't a horror movie is productive at all. It was just funny to me because this is a beautiful movie and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I almost felt like the horror elements were a little tacked on. I think the movie maybe would have even been better without them. So there's that. That's why I brought it up in the first place. But no, I really did enjoy it. I thought the characters were just really interesting. I, as some of you know, tried to learn to speak Spanish a while back. I had a 400+ day streak on Duolingo. It didn't work. I don't know any Spanish, but I
Listen,
really like.
I have a minor in Spanish, and I still cannot speak it fluently.
I like the Spanish language a lot. I like Mexican culture. There's a surprising amount. I live in Idaho Falls, and you'd be surprised how much the Mexican population has blown up here. I don't know why, but I work at a school, and like half the kids are from Mexico, like have lived there. And so it's just fun to get to know them and their background. And so that's just something that I enjoy. Now, this shows a very dark side of certain parts of Mexico. And so it's not, a great picture of the country as a whole. But I just enjoy Mexican films. I'd like to do more. I really enjoyed the characters. I thought the way the ending comes together is shocking and beautiful at the same time. So I think my only other problem with this movie is the CGI elements that they added did not look very good. Like the floating, what were those, like little bird things?
The dragon. There was a dragon and
the
there
dragon.
were birds.
They just didn't look good. Like they looked very, very fake, which for the rest of the movie looking so beautiful, it was out of place. But I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie.
Let me before Alicia, you go, like, let me just defend a little more that this absolutely is a horror movie. It is, the horror element is essential to the movie, and it does like drive forward some plot elements. I mean, the fact that there's ghosts. But also, Estraa is told by ghosts where to go, and they're right. So there definitely is a supernatural element. I think it does take a backseat. Like I said, it's not on the forefront, but it is, to me, just super essential to the movie. I wouldn't agree that taking out the horror elements would not change the essence of the movie.
Well, you say the ghost told her where to go, but the cartel also told her the same location.
Exactly. And so did the other kids that she was with. I agree with that, Max. I think the horror elements could have been taken out, like the ghosts and stuff, and it would have been the same movie.
Well, it would not. I disagree. I think it would remove a very essential element of the tone and the feel of the movie that would change kind of the overall message. But that's just me. You guys can have your opinion. Alicia, what did you think?
I honestly completely agree with you, Bryce, because I think for films like this and, Pan's Labyrinth, if the movie is centered on these young characters, we need some sort of softening of the horror and some sort of way to relate to them as they're viewing all of this. So with the fantastical elements and the fairy tale elements, like kids using fairy tale to relate to like really horrific things that are happening around them. Even as they're telling stories about what they think the cartel has done, you can't tell if they're made up legends or if they actually did happen. So I think that sort of adds like a bit of the mystery to it. I also don't think it's like, I also find it interesting that she looks to be older than them slightly. Like she also kind of is maybe the seer in this, if we're going to get like magical with it. She's someone who's following a trail of blood. So I'm seeing like some of these other feminist aspects to it, of like a coming of age type thing. And she's straddling the gateway between being a young girl and a woman. And and she's like really wrestling with that fairy, like trying to come away from fairy tales and seeing real life. I think we need that in this movie for it to be effective. So I think if I was to rate it, I do also agree with you, Max, that the CGI was like, it was a little cartoony. It was, I guess I would give it probably around a 9 out of 10 because it's not one that I return to often, but it is a really great film.
I do like how you mentioned Pan's Labyrinth, because I think that movie's a perfect 10 for me because the fantastical elements are so well done and well incorporated into the the sign of the times in Spain in that time under the Franco like regime, like that it is like perfectly executed because she is really young in that. Like she is like a child, so she's going to use like these fairy tale elements in it, and it's just like the practical effects and the CGI are so well done. And when it goes to real life in Pan's Labyrinth, like it is brutally gory. It is unrelenting. And so you need that relief of the fairy tale elements, even though there's not much relief there anyways. But I mean, that's just a masterclass in like storytelling, that movie is. And I think that's why this not fell flat, because I really liked this movie. Like it lacked a little bit because of like the the CGI wasn't the greatest, and like I don't know, it just reminded me of Pan's Labyrinth so much that I was like, wow, I want to watch Pan's Labyrinth again. Like when I watch this.
Well, the fantasy elements in this movie I think are far more important than the horror elements, because like the story of the tiger, the characterizations of like the prince, the warrior, these archetypes. I think that was very central to understanding the film. So,
yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into the mid-roll. If you're listening to any commercials, you should know you don't have to. Go to our Patreon and join us, and you'll get early access to episodes without ads, all back through our back catalog. Also, you can support us by going to our shop at horrormovietalk.com/shop. If you want to check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, he does all the artwork for each episode. You can find him on Instagram at dgoebel00, at DGOEBEL00. And he also takes commissions as well. If you want to leave a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again. Let's get into spoilers. I zoomed by that so quick. I don't know how I'm going to fit in all the ads.
I know. You're going to have to do it every like.
It's going to be rough.
Second.
I've been thinking about ads, and I think it's time we let them go.
Yeah, well, that's bold of you to say.
How do we do that? We can't do that.
I'll tell you what it would involve to do that, and then you might change your mind.
Tell me.
Off the show.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was just trying to. Well, hey, now everyone knows if you're listening to commercials. I was on the fence of taking it out.
Well, Max is the populist. We get bold choice. I'm sure the listeners will love Max for that.
Now all the comments. Why didn't you guys listen to Max? Why are there still ads in this?
Hey, we said if we get up to. What was it?
100 patrons.
100 patrons.
Paid patrons.
100 paid patrons that we would get rid of ads. No one's taking us up on that, really.
Yeah, we're only at 74. 74.
We've been sitting at around 75 for months.
Yeah. Anyways, too much inside baseball. So I didn't make a ton of notes on this one, but we can kind of just go over the plot and talk about the movie.
The school shooting in somewhere that's not in America, I was like, whoa, this happens other places? That's crazy.
Yes, Sydney. Despite what you may think, violence is everywhere.
That's
right.
It's all around us.
It's kind of a red herring because it's not really a school shooting. It's a shooting at the school.
Right,
yeah.
right. Like they're not there to kill the kids. They're there to kill probably one of the teachers or something.
And I think it takes place mostly outside. It just sounds like it's inside the school. But
did I ever tell you about the elementary school that's like a mile away from my house that there was a murder at last year? So in the middle of the night, obviously I slept through it. I live a mile away and I wasn't there, but two gangs, Idaho Falls gangs, met up at the school parking lot, and someone shot someone to death, and then the other gang got in a truck and ran people over.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Why would they meet at the school to do that?
I don't know.
Like a
It was
Grease
an elementary
type.
school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like there was a murder outside
they're on their
Alicia's
way.
right now.
I gotta go.
So yeah, it starts out, with Estraa in her school and them like taking cover from just like the school shooting, which, is traumatizing to Americans and Mexicans alike, I'm sure. And then
It seemed like they all have experienced something like that before, though. Like the teacher was scared, but the kids were not like super freaking out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like, it's already set up like, oh, these people hear gunshots like often. Like that was my first impression of this scene. I was like, oh, this is so sad already.
Yeah. And then the teacher like is right next to Estraa and she gives her these 3 pieces of chalk, and because they were just talking about the
Fairy tales
and the elements of fairy tales, and the teacher gives her these 3 pieces of chalk and says these are 3 wishes, which is important for the rest of the movie. And actually, before we see anything, there's a couple text overlays in the credits that are really important, that it sets the stage for the movie, which is like the drug wars and the cartel wars in the early 2000s were absolutely devastating. It basically says, tens of thousands of people died, like whole cities were basically left abandoned, and, has all these statistics about the murders and disappearances of
Over
people.
100,000 people.
Yeah.
Almost 200,000 people are disappeared or were murdered.
Yeah. And then it says, no one's really keeping any statistics on the children that are left behind. And so it sets up this movie that, all the adults can be murdered at any given time. And I don't know if you follow the news, but it is truly horrific what's going on with the cartel violence. Just public beheadings and just medieval torture and stuff is just super prevalent. And yeah, kids also exist there. So it's terrifying. So it starts with Estraa and then it goes to
Shine.
And
by the way,
Shine
I want to cut in and say I love that his name is Shine and her name is Star. And so they're one and the same, It's like shining star. It's so cute.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Shine.
Great. Good job.
How's my Mexican accent?
Bueno.
I was also going to jump in and say, she also reminds me of like a Wendy character. And if you're thinking about following the star to, I don't know.
Yeah.
A little extra fairy tale connection.
You're so
there.
smart.
Yeah, what the hell? So like Shine is kind of like Peter Pan because he's, spoiler for the rest, but he's kind of forever young. Like he's like this Robin Hood, Peter Pan kind of kid character. Wow, that's interesting.
And the Lost Boys, even with the little Morrow, just like the little.
Stop!
That kid was so cute.
Him.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna start crying.
Yeah.
That was the worst part of the movie. I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore.
So it goes to Shine, and Shine is introduced as kind of the street urchin that is following, one of these cartel members that's just drunk off his ass and taking a piss in the street, which also is great because he pees like a 3-year-old
with his pants all the way down.
His pants all the way down to his ankles, which is hilarious. And so
wait,
Shine steals
how
his
else
gun
are you
and his
supposed
phone.
to pee?
See Max standing at the urinal, pants down to his ankles,
Ass out.
So yeah, Shine steals this gun and his phone, which is kind of the impetus for the rest of the movie. But
the passcode is 6666.
Sorry,
right.
say that again.
The passcode on the phone is 6666.
Oh, I didn't.
Was
even
anyone
notice
else
that.
wondering how he figured that out?
Well, probably just looked at the fingerprints on the screen.
Oh,
No, I thought that there was a tattoo or a ring or something that said 666 as a tie back to the. Maybe I'm conflating things, but I thought that there.
there might
looked at the
there might have been
fingerprints like
that,
Sherlock Holmes.
But yeah, that's what I was gonna say, Bryce. It's
Maybe.
a child. He's not looking at he's dusting the phone. Like,
I mean, you can look at, I don't know, maybe I'm overlooking it, but
I
I
have
mean,
fingerprints all over my phone.
Yeah, my phone looks disgusting. Oh my gosh.
so yeah, he aims
There's
the
one
gun
spot
at,
for my gambling app. Just
gambling too, Max. Is this another addiction that we have to address?
no, okay. I told you I went to that casino and I lost my money so unbelievably fast it wasn't even fun. They couldn't even make it
that's
fun
right.
for me.
Yeah.
I hit the button. I hit the slots twice. 2 times I hit that and my money was gone.
Yep, that's how it be.
So anyways, and another important part is Shine aims the gun at the back of the gangster's head, which is like, until later you get more context, but at the beginning you're just like, oh, is this just a psychotic child? Like, because you don't have any context that he has very good reasons to want to murder this particular guy, but at this point it's just, he's aims it but doesn't have the heart to actually shoot, but he seems very conflicted about it.
He does look very upset when he's aiming the gun, so you kind of figure that there's going to be some kind of backstory, because he like aims the gun and he's almost like crying and like gritting his teeth, and you're like, oop, we'll find out more about this later.
Yeah. And then it cuts back to Estraa, and she's going home. And then outside the school, I think this is the right order. She goes out in front of the school and sees, a murder victim on the street, which, police don't really, you'd think in front of like an elementary school, you'd do a little more care to cover the blood splatter and the head that's been shot out, but Nope. But as she's walking home, like a trail of blood follows her back home, which is kind of an element throughout the movie. As like bad things are about to happen, the blood trail starts trailing around.
But okay, can we talk about the blood trail? Because I feel like, not that I'm like confused on it, but I feel like I want to like expand on it. Like I understood, like in the first, like when it goes to her house, right after this, it follows her home and it goes to her house and it like splits the picture of her and her mom in half. So you're kind of like, okay, so her mom is like gone or dead or whatever. Like that's the assumption. But like, is it like leading her to safety, or is it like, what is the point of it? Like where it goes is, I guess, my question. I don't know. If anyone knows, I don't know.
I
think it's kind of an omen. It's just ominous that it's following her and that it's leading to disaster, basically.
I thought it was maybe also just pointing her in directions that it might show up for her when she's on the right path, a la breadcrumbs, a la more fairy tale imagery.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The word omen is what I was thinking of too, because not only does it split the picture of her mother and her in half, but it also goes to the TV that's talking about, what's his name? The guy who's running for Chino. He's running for some political office or something. And it runs over him as well, which, he becomes a huge part of the story later on.
Yeah, I thought that I really liked that aspect of it, where it was like, he was kind of like, the politics were kind of in the background of the movie. Like you could see all the posters and all the stuff on TV and about this guy who's running for office. And it's kind of like, what's this leading up to? And then you find out like he's like actually a really, really bad guy and he's running for office. And that, I think that's good, like political commentary on like what happens in Mexico, because oftentimes like the leaders who get elected, it's like the people who are electing them are scared into voting for them, so they don't get killed. And so then these leaders get elected who are very involved in the cartel, and then they just perpetuate this constant violence, which I thought was pretty good.
I can't remember the name of the politician. So he doesn't, the politician has like an actual name, but his, the same guy we find out later is Elchino, which is kind of the head of this gang.
He's just like he's made a deal with the devil, is what the kids think. He's made a deal with the devil to he does satanic rituals with their loved ones and kills everyone and cuts the kids in, like sells their parts. So that's what the kids say. You don't find out what actually happens with the kids, but
well, it fills it in like some of the news reports. Like it talks about how he's close with this particular cartel, and this cartel is known for human trafficking. And so
I didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean, it's later revealed that he's basically, if not the main guy in the cartel, but like being propped up by this cartel. And I think it does it really well, like interspersing some of the newscasts and political ads to kind of give the background of it. So Estrella finds out that her mother's dead. It doesn't show anything in particular other than just she's gone.
She doesn't know she's dead until way later in the movie. She just doesn't know where she is.
Yeah, but I mean, the blood does drip into her shirt and make some kind of design. Do you guys know what that design was supposed to be? Was it a face or something? I couldn't tell.
I don't know, but this part of the movie really reminded me of. I just watched Good American Family. Have you guys checked that out yet?
Mm-mm.
The Natalie Grace show that just came out.
No, but I'm familiar with the.
It's
Is
really
that like
good.
the orphan girl? Like the orphan movies were based on her.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but holy cow, I did not know the actual story. Like, the actual story blows everything that you thought for the past 10 years out of the water. It's crazy. And they literally left this child in an apartment by herself for months on end, and she couldn't feed herself and like couldn't clean herself. It just reminded me of Estraa being in this house and not really knowing what to do, and she's all alone, and she really wants her mom to come home, and so she uses her first wish to ask for her mom to come home.
Yeah. And her mom comes back as a ghost. Wah, wah.
Wrapped in plastic.
Bummer.
Just like Laura Palmer.
Yeah. And it shows Estrella, like, she apparently is aware of the other boys, especially Shine, like, wandering around the neighborhood, because it shows her, like, on her balcony looking over. And then eventually she follows them to their camp, and they've got their little Lost Boys encampment on the roof of some building. And they have their own little world, and it's kind of surrounding Shine as the leader, and then of course little Marorrow is like the little baby kid that they're kind of the story is them kind of taking care of Marorrow and comforting him, and a lot of the stories they tell and the mythology within their little group is to explain what's going on and the danger to this little kid.
Yeah, and the rest of them are 10 or above, I would say, in age. I would say that Estrella is probably the oldest. But Marorrow is probably like 5. Like, he's really young, and the implication is something really, really bad happened, and it made him stop speaking, which is really sad. It's so sad.
Yeah, my sense was the boys were probably around 8.
Yeah.
And Estrella might be around 10, 11.
I thought she was like almost like puberty age.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because of the blood period,
Yeah, I was thinking around 12.
Coming of age, yeah.
My daughter's 12, and she seemed a little younger than my daughter, so I'd say, close, like 10, 11. So yeah, we're introduced to the group, and they are not big fans of Estrella coming in to the group.
Chicks are bad luck.
They're pretty superstitious about her. And it also adds to kind of the story, because they describe girls are bad luck. Like, they attract, the cartel, and the cartel's gonna, it's devastating listening to them talk about it, because it's so matter of fact. They're like, oh yeah, the cartel's gonna come and rape this girl and find us out or whatever. It's like, it's like bait, You're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's just the horrifying reality of these kids is just underlined.
Yeah, there's one line in the movie later on that one of the cartel members says to Estraa that I was just like, oh no! Like, these men want to capture and do terrible things to children. It is very dark.
Well, yeah, they're like gonna human traffic the boys and the girls. Like that's what, like, yeah, the implication is. And the things when they first see her, they're like, "I'm gonna capture you and rape you, bitch." Like that's exactly what they say. Like it's disgusting. It's horrifying.
They say, "I'm gonna loosen you up."
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are real jerks.
Yeah, they kind of suck.
I think we can all agree these guys aren't really good people.
So she's kind of half shunned by these orphan boys, and the reason why she's chased them is it's more of her trying to escape the ghost of her mother, which is interesting. Like she
has no food. That's why she goes to them. She goes, "I'm hungry."
Well, yeah. She sees Shine steal all her food too.
What?
Right.
Yeah. He broke into her house and then he's like escaping and she catches him.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he brings back like, some cans of beans and stuff. And so it's probably like the last food she had.
I did think it was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Alicia.
No, I was going to say, I thought it was very interesting that he sensed the mom's ghost there as he's making away with all of the food. He gets out of there right quick because you see the shadow of the mother and you realize, oh, it's not just in Estrea's head. Like these ghosts are like real for the kids.
Mm.
Yeah, they kind of gloss over the human trafficking part of the movie, but we do see that later. The gang is coming to them because they need to get back the phone that Shine stole. And so they're being kind of hunted by the gang. And when they find them, they take Marorrow, the little kid. And then of course Shine blames Estraa because,
Chicks
why
are
wouldn't
bad
you
luck.
blame a woman? And then they go to get back Marorrow, and Estraa uses her second wish to kill.
No, she said she wishes she didn't have to kill him.
Oh, that's right. She wished she didn't have to kill him.
By the way, before she made that wish, he already looked dead. And I thought to myself, I said, why doesn't she look at him? Because he's probably already dead. And then it pans like someone else already killed him. So she fires the gun out of like she's nervous.
Well, she drops it and it fires.
Oh, she's nervous. Yeah. But like he already looked dead. I was like, oh, girl, you could have saved yourself.
I thought he maybe looked asleep.
Yeah.
So,
From the back.
I assume that's what she was thinking. But also, she's a kid. Like, she's probably really afraid even to just look at him.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't want to have to do that. And so going around the couch to get a look at his face is probably terrifying.
Yeah, I also forget she's like short because she's a child, so she can't see over the chair. But I was just like movie logicking it, and I was like, I bet he's already dead. Like she's gonna make this wish that she doesn't have to kill him, and it's gonna come true, like quote unquote come true because he's already dead. And yeah, but this was like to prove herself, right? So she could be a member of the gang, like so she could run with them. And it was funny when she was like, well, why don't, like when Shine's like, go kill this guy. And she's like, well, aren't you a boy? Why don't you go do it? And all of his buddies are like, she has a point. And he's like, just go do it. Just go do it. Like, and I also thought it was really funny in this moment. It was like a Spanish language joke where they're about to go in the house and they're saying, he does satanic rituals and those are called negras, but the other kid is getting confused and he's calling them rojas, and which are, it's like it came up on the screen as rituals and virtuals. And so he kept saying rojas and the other kid was like, no, it's negras. But it's funny because both of those are also, they're also colors. So like, black and red.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a funny little Spanish language joke when they were doing that. But.
So why do you think Shine is so apprehensive about killing anyone? Because he's the leader of his gang and he obviously wants this man dead, but he misses out on his opportunity to kill him when he takes his gun. He doesn't want to be the one who has to go in there and shoot him. And even later, there is a part where he shoots the gun, but he chooses to shoot it towards the sky instead of directly at the person who's chasing him. So it seems like he has a real maybe fear or like something holding him back from taking that step.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little kid. He's just a little kid, and it becomes so apparent that like they're not, they're terrified. They're terrified of this world, and like, I mean, just something as simple as like this gun is going to be real loud. I mean, that's enough for like an 8-year-old. Like, I can't imagine my son just like unloading a clip on some guy, even if it's a valid, threat to his life. It's like, no, they're just little kids and they're so innocent. And the fact that he feels all this guilt and shame about not murdering is what underlines just the tragedy of it. It's because he shouldn't be in that position. He shouldn't feel bad about not wanting to kill people. Yeah. He's a kid.
No, that's true. I think sometimes when watching movies, like I can get trapped in like, well, obviously the solution to this problem would be to kill this man. But yeah, you're right. He is way too young and obviously is very terrified.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I also remember that. I mean, he knows the passcode to the phone. So what else is on that phone that he has watched and has already seen this man do? And like that being the scary movies that are in his head already about like all of these things could be my end because I have so much data about like what this guy has already done. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Right. And also like once like these children who are like, Bryce, I think you're right. Like they're just kids. They're too afraid to, commit murder, but also they're seeing all this horrifying stuff happen. They all obviously don't have parents anymore. So they know that bad things have happened. They watch those videos that we find out about later on the phone. Like they probably, I mean, especially Shine, who is smart. Like he has these like street smarts, definitely, if he survived so long. He probably sees this and he's like, I don't want to stoop to this level. Like I'll play their game to a point, but like I'm also like, if I actually commit murder myself, like am I any better?
I think he actually does want to stoop to that level, though. He just he can't. Like, well, the other thing really is bad about not being the one to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, to underline both points of the like how young they are and the relationship to the violence around them, you can look to their hideout where it's very much like a little boy's gang hideout. It's got, cartoonish graffiti. It's got pictures of them in graffiti. It's got like, their food cans. Little Morrow has his stuffed animals, and they've got like their little masks set up around, and they're just gathering around their TV and watching stuff. And Shine's reaction to what they're watching violent stuff on TV, and Shine doesn't like it. He's like, it's too violent. And it just reminds him of his situation. And I think that's like an insight into his mind. Like he doesn't want this. He doesn't want to be reminded of violence, and he doesn't want to take part in it. And they're, looking for what were the movies they were watching? They remember they mentioned a couple specific. They even mentioned Lord of the Rings at one point.
Yeah, I love that. They were like, this looks like the Lord of the Rings house. I was like, oh, cute.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's it just made me sad. You know, I just felt so bad for these little kids.
I can't even imagine you guys have children, so you feel it even worse. Like,
yeah,
I don't have kids, so I'm like, I mean, obviously I feel bad, but it's like not like I don't have like, you know, an offspring. Then I would, you know, additionally be like, what if this was my kid, you know? So
yeah, I mean, it's very much like as I was watching this, I'm like, I know this is going to hit me a lot harder than Max and Sydney, just because I have kids this age. And I think that's true of a lot of horror, is it hits very differently once you become a parent.
Well, that's why David stopped doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. David should never watch this movie. That'd be,
Well, yeah, and I think like the age of your kid really plays a part into like what movies affect you, because like my girl is 11 months. She's almost a year. She's almost a year old now. But like I can't even picture her walking yet, like let alone holding a gun. So, but you know what movie did affect me is that movie The Devil's Bath that Sydney recommended.
Oh God, yeah.
Where in the opening scene a woman throws a baby down a waterfall. Yeah. Like I almost had to stop watching it right there. I was like, I am shook.
Have you seen that,
I feel
Alicia?
so gross.
No, I'm writing it down right now.
The Devil's Bath. It's a really good movie about like just like shit that women have had to go through in the past just to like have autonomy. Like it's just like it's really interesting because I guess I'll go on a mini tangent, but it's a movie like, you know, deeply religious, like people from the 1700s or whenever it was set in. I don't remember. I think it was around there. Like if you committed suicide, you went to hell. And like, you know, a lot of religions still believe that. But these women so they couldn't do that. And they didn't want to go to hell. But they were deeply depressed because of their situations, because they were thrust into marriages or thrust into having children. And, you know, and that's kind of what it's a horror movie, and it explores just like that reality of like not having this autonomy to live the life that you want. And so you just fall into this deep, deep depression, even psychosis. And you're just like, well, the only way to get me dead is to commit a crime. And so it's a very good movie, but it's very sad.
I was going to say it sounds more intense than Huesera, the Bone Woman.
I would say that one's like more like the body horror in that is insane.
Yeah.
Like that is really like, oh my God, disgusting. This is not like a disgusting horror movie. This is more of like
it's another really sad one.
Very sad. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Well, I remember when I was watching it, I texted you guys, I was like, man, living as like a farmer in the 1600s has got to be my bottom tier pick of life to choose. Like so bad.
So ass. Ass.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how little you would shower then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
even
just
less
go
than now, surprisingly.
They go in the creek and just kind of waddle around and then like get out and
yeah, honestly, if you had to make your own soap.
No way. No way.
It's just so much work. You got to get in, you got to wash everything, you got to get out, dry off. I hate drying off.
And then worry about getting sick and yeah.
So in the movie, after Estraa kills Kako, she finds Marorrow.
Well,
She doesn't kill him, but yeah.
Oh, well, after
dead.
she finds him dead or whatever. After she uses her wish.
Yes.
Right.
She finds Marorrow and he's locked up in a cell, which is horrifying. And
a
they
cage,
escape.
not even a cell. It's a cage. Like
Yeah.
it's
Like a
a
dog
dog
cage.
crate. Like
Yeah.
Then there's
And
two other kids too.
Yeah. And they escape and they realize that like now the cartel's really going to be coming after them. And they find this abandoned school. I wasn't sure if it was the same school that she went to
What?
in the beginning. Because in the
What are
beginning,
you-
like
what abandoned school? What are you talking about?
wasn't it an abandoned school that they went into?
Yeah, it was kind of like a mansion type thing, but it also had so many soccer balls and maybe like a Y or, you know, something like that. I wasn't entirely sure either, but
I wasn't sure what it was.
gigantic.
I
I thought it was
assumed
just a
school.
big.
It looked like they had.
before that, they returned the two other boys that they found to a different kid gang. and they have like a little tough it out fight. Like, what are you guys doing here? And it's they do that
just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
¿Qué pasó? I don't know.
¿Qué pasó? The Duolingo is really helping out on this episode.
But they find this abandoned building or whatever that's huge. It's got like a theater in it. It looked like it had classrooms to me.
It could have been a school.
Yeah, it could have been a school. I thought you were talking about when they join when they see the other orphans.
No.
I was like, that was like under a bridge.
It was like
or
a parking
something.
garage.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I guess I'm skipping forward.
I did like that scene though with the kids because they were burning the piano and that was the source of light for the scene, and I thought that was a really beautiful scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep going. Sorry.
And so they find this new hideout, which is this giant building, and they kind of have a reprieve. And it's also kind of tapping into this fantastical elements because as they're leaving their former hideout, Estraa kind of is starting to usurp shine as the gang leader with these little kids. Because the little kids were like, hey, she's kind of badass. She killed this guy and is the reason why we need to leave and is the one that's encouraging us to leave. So,
and not only that, but she is like comforting to them. Like she plays with them. She like holds them when they're crying. Like
she's a maternal
kind
figure.
of like a mother figure for them.
Yeah.
Like
it goes back to what Alicia said. It's kind of like Wendy and Peter Pan.
Mm-hmm.
And,
they were missing this softness. Like the boys are just rough and they dance and they eat food and they tell each other scary stories. But once she comes along, she's like very comforting, very soft. But it's really interesting because she has to be this comforting presence for them. But also she's dealing with these like the ghosts of her mother is haunting her so much so that's what led them up to moving because the mother was like, you need to leave. Like they're going to come get you. But it was that was a very creepy scene. And so she's dealing with all of these horrors inside of herself, but she also has to be this comforting maternal presence. And that like was very coming of age for a girl to me. And I liked that aspect of it.
And as they're looking for a place, they're kind of dreaming of the ideal place that it'll have, a soccer field and it'll have a zoo, where they can see the tigers and all the animals. And I can't remember the other things.
And a pool.
And they get to this abandoned giant building and they kind of fill in the things they see, just this puddle on the ground with goldfish in it for some reason. They're like, hey, it's a
pool and a zoo.
It's a pool and a aquarium. Mm-hmm. And they find some old soccer balls in one of the rooms and, play soccer.
The more I think about it, it must have been a school because like the auditorium, the buckets of soccer balls, like it had to have been a school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even think. I thought it was like some rich person's mansion.
The structure of it looked like a mansion, but
with the chandeliers and stuff.
Yeah, the things in it made me think school.
There was a chandelier.
There was a chandelier right when they walked in.
When they walked in with the koi fish.
Okay.
Maybe it's a hotel.
Maybe.
Do hotels have theaters?
Yeah, they wouldn't have an auditorium in a hotel.
I don't know.
Why am I out of focus?
I think Alicia is probably onto something. It might have been like a Y or like a community center.
Building.
Yeah.
I was also this moment also makes me think of how I was noticing color is used and how like green and lush this new place is, and also how Estraa is the only person who's wearing these super soft muted tones. She's mostly wearing purple, and then the colors start to morph into purple, blue, green. It's like she is sort of like the next phase of the promise that these kids could have or something. It was like she's the uplifting color, and as well as like this new spot that they found for themselves that's like this paradise almost.
Right.
I've gone on record saying that I think I could do homelessness really well. And I think this movie's just proving my point because you don't have to sleep under some overpass, go find your mansion, King.
Right.
Go find your free mansion.
It's true.
Water's
Go to
right.
Detroit. There's neighborhoods empty of houses. So they get here and everything ramps up. Estraa finds ghosts of not only her mother, but basically every other person that's been killed by the cartel. And they're all
Scary.
begging her to bring the cartel to them to kill, basically, to get revenge. Also, the threat of the cartel is ramped up. They're able to get in contact with the kids and say, like, basically, give us back this phone or you're going to die. And then they negotiate, figure out that at first they don't want to give it, and then they do, and we find out that the reason that the cartel wants the phone is that there's incriminating evidence of this political figure murdering Estraa's mom. And
the way they find out that it's Estrea's mom is very interesting because the reason that Shine wants the phone is because it's the last photo that he ever has of his mother is on the phone. He doesn't see the videos yet, to our knowledge.
Yeah.
So he says that, and then he says to Estraa, he's like, "Do you have any pictures of your mom?" And she's like, "I left the house so fast. Like, I left them at home." And he's like, "Well, let's go get them." And she's like, "It's too risky or whatever. Like, there's too much scary stuff there. Like, I don't want to go." So he takes the risk and goes for her, grabs a picture, and then he finds the video and sees that the bracelet that her mom was wearing in the picture is the same as the one in the video. And he's like, "Oh, fuck." Like, he's like, "Oh, this is not good." And I have to tell her. And he struggles with telling her for a while. Can't find the right moment
But
to
this
break
leads
that
us
news.
to the saddest part of the whole movie, because Shine gets captured and I assume they use him to figure out where the hideout is. And he leads them back there, and there's a big shootout, and Marorrow takes the gun and kills one of the gang members and immediately gets shot and dies.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the first part where I cried. I was like, oh my gosh. It's just, it does such a great job of like humanizing these little kids and making you feel for their situation, especially, little Marorrow is the most, pathos inducing character of the show.
He's so cute. He's such a cutie.
And they kill him, and just brutally, just in an instant. And then it's so beautiful how they treat the kids taking care of Marorrow's body and just wanting to, take care of him like he's little brother. I'm tearing up just thinking about it.
Oh my God.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
And they've basically lost all hope at this point, and they're like, we're in too deep. And there's this great, kind of the thesis of the movie when Shine says, and it kind of frames the whole movie. Shine is talking with Estraa, and he says, "There's no wishes. There's nothing. Not even tigers. We're all there is." And it's just, that's what the movie is trying to portray, is that these kids are alone and they're just trying to figure it out.
Yes. It's so sad. It's absolutely devastating, because it's like this fantasy that they've been seeing. She sees this little dragon flying around. She sees the tiger in the end. She sees, like all of this, the animated graffiti, like all of these fantastical things. Like he's just like, dude, they're not real. Like, it's nice to have this escape, but in reality, we're probably all gonna die. Like, we're probably all just gonna be taken away. We're either gonna die or we're gonna be taken, or like, we can't, like, we're just kids. We can't defeat these people. Our parents couldn't even defeat these people because they were taken in the middle of the night on the grounds of nothing but evil. And it's just
Yeah.
like there's no hope. Like there's no hope, and it's just terrible.
But
I wonder what it would be like to grow up as a kid who is forced into the world so fast that you don't even get a chance to believe in magic. Like, because obviously they show that they're still clinging to those types of beliefs. Like they want this fantastical tiger that roams the streets to be out there killing gang members. Like, they want this magical castle that has a pool and a zoo. But like you were saying, like Shine is like, no, it's not real. And like to be 8 years old and already like feeling like there's nothing magical about this world has got to be just a insane way to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not super hopeful, but the way that they just instinctively know how to care for their dead. Oh my God. Like they do their little ritual and like hold him close and grieve over him. And then anyway, yeah, there's still something to that about community and about, connecting so deeply with one another and then being able to release that person and like care for them that a lot of the people, as we find out later, never got. So it's slightly uplifting in that sense, but it's really tough to watch.
Yeah.
I also saw that as like the Day of the Dead is like the biggest holiday in Mexican culture. So I feel like they would all have a sense of how to do that. And they get really mad at Estraa when she leaves Marorrow alone.
Yeah.
When they try to find her, because they all separate because they think it's her fault that Marorrow died. And so they're like, stay here with him. Like, we're gonna, like, with the dead body, and we're gonna go do whatever. And, you know, she doesn't stay because she's beckoned by the ghost, the bloodline, the whatever, to, you know, go help them defeat Chino. Like, and that's when she finds out that her mother was on the video. That's when Shine ends up telling her. And they go to the hideout of where Chino, you know, kills all these people. And it's just so awful. Like, it's like, why is he torturing and killing people? Like, what did they do wrong? Like, you know, you never find that out because, like, I mean, you as an adult, you can understand, but like, it's like these kids think it's just baseless, and it is baseless. He should not be doing this, but it's just like the kids have no context for why. They just think it's because he's made a deal with the devil.
I wonder if the movie's trying to put the viewer in the mindset of a child, because like you said, like they don't understand why their parents are being kidnapped and tortured and killed. They just know that it happens. And we aren't ever given any indication as to why Estraa's mom is taken and beaten on camera and then killed. And that's almost like showing you, like, this is what it's like to be a child viewing horrific things that you'll never be able to understand. Like, you don't have the concepts developed to grasp why someone would do this. So
yeah, I mean, the drug violence, like it goes beyond just like, you know, retaliation and stuff. Like, you could say like, oh, well, maybe they were involved in the drug trade somehow, or they were involved with another gang or whatever. But also, it's just to the point of indiscrimination. And it really underlines that when they take the phone to the police and they show an actual murder on the phone, and the cops' reaction is like, well, fuck this shit, and they get out of there.
Well, they go, do you see who that guy is? We can't deal with this. And it's like, oh my God.
Because if they did anything about that, they would be killed. You know, that no one's safe from the cartel. And it's, you know, information is enough to get people killed. I mean, it's just like these little kids have a phone, and that's enough for them to hunt down and kill little children. So who knows what happened to their parents or what the rationale for it was. And then we'll skip forward to kind of the ending. Shine and Estraa put the other two remaining kids on a bus and send them on their way. And then they're trying to get rid of this phone and give it to Elchino. And Elchino, sorry. And then it ends pretty quickly, a lot of death, and Estraa, is confronted by Shine, saying that, there is no magic and there's not going to work. And so she uses her final wish to, grant Shine's wish, which was to no longer have this scar on his face, this burn, and immediately gets shot in the head, which is devastating.
You knew something like that was going to happen, though, because he was like, the wishes don't work, like, and it's like, no, don't do it.
We've well established the monkey's paw nature of chalk wishes.
Yeah.
And then Estraa does lead Elchino to, this burial place of all these, dead bodies / ghosts.
That was the worst part of the movie for me, is when she was in that room. It was so visceral. Like the way that it was portrayed was so raw that I was like, oof, it's disgusting.
And that, it implies that there's so many ways you can interpret this movie, because it shows, like, it's saying that, Elchino is murdered by these ghosts, including Shine, and burned by, Shine or by his own stuff. You could also interpret it like Estraa trapped him and then burned him and then left to freedom. But the leaving into like a open field of grass a la Gladiator is like, it's hard to think that Estraa actually gets off, that easy.
No, she doesn't. It reminded me of the end of the Florida Project when they go to Disney. They don't go to Disney.
Yeah.
They never. But in your mind, maybe we should think that they do go to Disney.
Yeah, that's another movie that this is like Florida Project. That's also absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Oof.
But she sees the tiger in the end, which I think, if we are to believe that she is able to overcome this and make it out, is a beautiful symbol of hope for these kids and magic, even like that magic is possible.
Yeah.
I think the original ending was darker. I think what was the original ending? I mean, it just implies that the other kids. Oh, that's what it was. The original ending was like seeing the other remaining kids join a gang and become like part of the cartel, which would be, kind of full circle in terms of like a message, but was too rough to have as an ending. I appreciate that they left it somewhat hopeful and gave a little bit of reprieve to a, I mean, I was crying throughout the whole ending, like into the credits. So it's a fantastic movie. I loved it.
Tough watch.
I really
very
judge,
tough watch.
I judge any movie by whether it gets an emotional reaction out of me, whether I'm so involved that I care, and, I think it's hard for me not to rate a movie that makes me cry for a while and makes me think about it for days, not a 10 out of 10, because that's just like, it completely worked. It completely worked on me. So
I think this might have been our highest rated movie of the year so far. I don't think we've given many 10s or 9s out.
I gave it an 8. I think we've had a 10, 9, 8 one.
Sinners was probably
Sinners, but you weren't
I
there.
wasn't on the Sinners episode, so that one doesn't count.
Yeah.
Okay.
Final thoughts, final things you liked or didn't like about the movie?
Tough watch. Very, very tough watch. Listeners, beware. Like, I don't think Bryce is he doesn't often cry in episodes, so be wary of how devastating this is. It's not scary where you're going to be like, it's scary where you're like, oh, these poor souls. So, but it's a good movie. It's really good.
I expected it to be really scary because Bryce texted us before I started watching it and he's like, buckle up. And then Sydney texted, wait, is this what I think it is? I don't think I can watch this. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? You're such babies. So I assumed it was going to be like this horrifying, gory movie. And then it just made me sad. So if you're looking for a movie to make you sad, definitely watch this one.
I will say that the trailer back in 2016 was the entire reason I signed up for Shudder. Like, I saw this trailer and I was like, I have got to see this movie. And I'm still a Shudder subscriber, obviously. But it was just my first testament to like how great Shudder movies can be. And it won a bunch of awards. And so I think it's totally worth a watch. But, you know, if you're looking for super gory and things like that, it's not going to be that.
Well, yeah. I mean, last week we just released Ichi, the Killer. So it's a big contrast in terms of tone.
That's a movie I have still not gotten all the way through. I've
seen it twice now.
Yeah. You don't like the meat hooks, huh? You don't like people suspended from their meats?
I keep trying to watch it during the day too. I'm like, Jazz, like, I got my coffee. Let's watch this. And I'm like, no, I got to return to this at another time.
It's a yucky one. It's definitely very yucky, but this is not yucky. It's just yucky emotionally.
All right. Final recommendations. Who would you recommend? Tigers Aren't Afraid.
Don't watch this if you have kids. Like, it's probably going to be pretty hard, like, straight up.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be prepared for an emotional movie. Like,
did you know that this was like? How did you choose this, Bryce? Like, what was your basis?
It's on a list of top 100 horror movies, either Rotten Tomatoes or some other list. Like, it's really high up.
Interesting.
Is that how you pick your movies?
A lot of the time, yeah. Huh. Yeah, a lot of the time I go through the top 100 to 200, and we've covered a lot of them. The ones that we haven't covered are like in the top 100 are either really old or whatever. I think the other one that I keep skipping by is
Jaws is number one. That's interesting.
Yeah, Jaws is number one. There's another one.
One Cut of the Dead.
One Cut of the Dead is the other one that I keep skipping over.
We didn't talk at all about Issa Lopez at all, really, but I just read today that she's slated to do the next season of True Detective, and it's set in Brooklyn. I don't know what time.
She did the most recent season. She did with Jodie Foster.
Right. So they liked it so much
one
they
of the
brought
strongest beginnings, and then just fizzled out for me.
Yeah. I really wanted to like that season, and it just ended so meh to me. I'm like, all right.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Is it possible for that show to get back to its roots and do a season better than season one? Like,
yeah, I mean, season one
went too close to the sun, and they were too close to discovering the secret of just television, and they
it's maybe the best season
it.
of television ever.
Yeah.
Straight up, period.
Yeah, probably best single season. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to watch. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Issa Lopez, if you look at her, like, filmography, very light fare. Like, there's lots of comedy, fantasy stuff, kind of rom-com movies. Nothing close to this. And so the fact that she could write and direct this so well, like, it just shows, like, yeah, she's got a lot of depth. She's not. It'd be like if the writer of, 10 Reasons to Leave a Guy or whatever, like
10 Reasons to Leave a Guy. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
10 Reasons to Leave a Guy. Blockbuster film.
What's the other one I'm conflating it with? There's
10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Days and
10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things I Hate About You. That's what it is.
10 Reasons to Hate a Guy.
Yeah, I feel like if the writer of like Matthew McConaughey's rom-coms also wrote True Detective, it's like that's about as close as this. So,
right.
Should we get to our game?
Yeah, let's get into the game. So, what did I call this? The Doom Zoom?
The Doom Zoom. How are we buzzing in?
Call out your name, I guess.
That's always the most boring way to buzz in.
Should we say hola because this is a Mexican movie?
Yeah, we need...
Well, if we can't all say hola, then it gets confusing on who
say
is
biblioteca.
Biblioteca.
I'll say boligrafo.
Okay.
I'll say, man, this 400 days of Duolingo
Yeah,
is not
come on.
helping
You
me out.
can't
What's
think
a
of one
Spanish
other
word?
Spanish word.
Well, when you put me on the spot,
Say rojo or something.
boleta, is that ticket?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say boleta.
Okay.
What are you going to say,
Is it
Alicia?
boleta or boleto?
Oh, I was
Paleta.
going to say pelota.
Pelota.
Pelota. Okay,
perfect.
good. All starting with plosives. You guys should be fine. All right. So I'll show you a zoomed in picture of a famous horror movie poster, and you have to ring in and guess which one. First up,
Oligrafo.
Sydney.
Is this Saw?
No.
Boleto, mi amor.
Max?
Is this Martyrs?
No.
Ah,
I'll zoom out a little more.
Oh, pelota.
Alicia.
Candyman.
This is Candyman.
Oh, nice. Good catch.
All right. Next up.
I just saw, like, you like hovered over it.
I didn't see.
Oh, okay. Oligrafo.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Sydney?
Wait, is it, is this, wait, I didn't see the full thing. So I can still guess. Is this, Alien? No,
Nope.
it's not Alien.
This looks like Mortal Kombat.
Alicia,
no
you got a
idea.
guess?
I was going to say aliens.
Can I guess again?
Oh,
Sydney.
boleto.
Max?
This is Final Destination.
No. Sydney?
Is this Hellraiser?
This is Hellraiser.
Dang it.
That was a good, tricky one.
The Hook. I was trying to guess what the Hook was.
Yeah. Okay, next up.
Ooh.
Oligrafo.
Sydney?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No. Wow, this is a lot harder. I thought you guys would have got this one
Boleto.
easy. Max?
Army of Darkness.
No. Alicia?
I have no idea.
We'll zoom out a little more. Max, I think you're actually on the right track.
Boleto.
Max?
Is this Evil Dead?
This is Evil Dead.
Oh.
This is hard.
The like the
Stop,
drawing.
I just saw
design.
Reanimator. Don't do Reanimator. I just saw it.
All right.
If you
The
showed
art style of this one, I knew it was like
Yeah.
Evil Dead something.
if you had showed any of the blue, I think I would have gotten it automatically.
Okay, I'm going to switch back between here while I move off. Okay.
Tony the
next,
Tiger.
Next up,
Oh, Oligrafo.
Sydney.
This is Saw.
Incorrect.
Oh my gosh.
You do not remember what the Saw poster looks
No,
like.
it has a foot on it, right? That's what it is.
No, it doesn't.
What?
Max, got a guess?
Um,
Here, I'll zoom out. I'll zoom out until someone.
admission
Clicks in.
adults.
Oh, paleta. Creep show.
Alicia, this is Creep Show.
I've never seen Creep
I've never
Show.
seen Creep Show.
What?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
is it good?
I think it was, I don't know.
Creep Show 1 and 2 is great.
I was like born in the 80s. I think it was like a prerequisite for growing up.
Oh, so you and Bryce have the same. That's why you're good at this.
Well, no, I study posters, like I study
Okay.
what makes them work, and I'm always looking at them.
Oh, that's cool. That's interesting. I like that.
All right, let me do this one next.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Okay.
no idea what I'm
Zoom
looking
out
at.
a little bit.
Paleta.
It's a guy.
Alicia?
Is this is this Army of Darkness?
No.
This is definitely a guy.
Oh, Paleta.
Alicia,
This is Reanimator.
this is Reanimator.
You said you weren't going to do that one, but it's okay.
And yet you couldn't guess it anyway. So.
That's what I thought you weren't gonna do it.
Yeah, it was canceled out in our brains.
I know. It's not
All right,
fair.
let me see here. This is weird. Like if I zoom out on one of the tabs, it zooms out on a lot of them. So, okay. Next up.
This looks really familiar.
Yeah, this one should be easy.
Oh, wait. Is this Chopping Mall?
No.
Boleta.
Yeah, Alicia.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
What is that face?
I literally have never noticed that
I know.
part of the poster.
It's great.
That's crazy. Like, who is that?
Okay.
Can you do like that poster? Or that one? Because I can do People Under the Stairs or Night of the Living Dead. I can do those two.
Okay. This should be a no-brainer. This one's easy.
Don't say that and then just give it
Wally.
toilet. Dog, what the hell?
This is Saw.
No, it's not.
Oh, Boleta. Yeah.
It's Ghoulies.
I don't know what Ghoulies is.
My nemesis since childhood. All right. Last one. I think Alicia's just run away with this already.
Yeah. 100%. You got this, girl.
All right. Last one. Nothing.
Oh, Belligrapho. Oh, I'm
Sydney.
going to be wrong. No. Skip me.
What were you going to say?
No, we're not going to
It's
say.
Saw.
No, because I was going to say something and then I immediately remembered what that poster looks like. So I'm going to hold. I'm not going to do this.
Alicia.
Is it Halloween 3?
Nope.
Boleto.
Is this okay?
Is this House of the Devil?
No.
Is this Psycho?
No. It's Fright Night.
See, another movie I've never seen.
I haven't seen Fright Night.
We just did Fright Night.
Damn.
No, we didn't.
We did not just do Fright Night.
We've
You
never
did Fright
done
Night
it.
when you went on a different podcast, Bryce.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
I also just covered Fright Night 2
Oh, yeah?
for another podcast. That one's also worth a watch, so do it back to back. You'll be set. It's essentially the same movie twice with different funny shit.
Okay, I was wrong. I have one more. This is another
God.
blast from the past for me.
This is.
Last one. Maybe.
You can't do Blast from the Past with me and Max.
Alicia?
I want to say this is.
The Flintstones.
I know that face, and I think it is Jack Frost.
Correct. It's Jack Frost.
Oh my god! Wow.
These are, I mean,
What the hell? He's
these
chilling
last
and
three
killing.
are all
He's
like
chilling and killing.
80s VHS rental place staples.
Damn. Yeah.
The only other one that I didn't include was what's the other one? Dead Alive. That's the other one that would be.
Well, there's a Jack Frost 1997. What was that one? That's
Jack
not the
Frost-
same one, is it?
The horror one?
Yeah, because there's
Yeah, it's this one.
It is?
Yeah,
But that's not the poster.
Yeah, it is.
it is.
For the
I mean,
1997 one. It is?
this is.
It's
that is
not.
the one.
I think you're right, City, in that there were a couple of different iterations of this.
Well, the thing
that's
is, like, this-
okay, that's, yeah, okay.
See, the thing is, like,
That's
you
the
don't
DVD.
get the full effect
That's
because
the DVD cover. That's not the poster.
no, this would also. Well, okay. Here's what you're thinking, and what's not shown on here is because if this was in the video rental store, you would see. If you're looking at it from the right, you would see a snowman, and then if you were walking by it, it would turn into this face because it would have like that hologram effect on
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of.
Okay, hold on, Bryce. You got to play this.
Yes.
In love with
Classic.
his voice. This back says in love with his voice at the end.
it. Okay, that was a good game. That went better than I thought it would. I thought you guys would. Good job.
Alicia, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Winning the game on your guest episode, that's
Who knew a
feat.
professional illustrator would
Recognize
notice
posters.
famous horror posters? Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Alicia. Again, let's plug your Etsy and your Instagram. Alicia can be found on Benny and the Jesurettes on
Benny and the Jesuits. Dun,
Instagram, and then bennyandthejesuits.com for all your other links to Etsy and all the other stuff. So support her. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, and you know what? Mother's Day is going to be right before this episode comes out. So if you haven't got your mom something spooky, head on over to that Etsy and pick out one of those air fresheners.
Thanks, guys.
Do we have any new patrons to thank? Max K, thank you for joining the Patreon. And also we got a new free member, MGS7785. Thank you.
good stuff.
Please help the show. Share it with a friend. Follow us in all the places. If you want to call and leave a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Until next time, stay spooky.
Good day, sir. Good day, sir. You lose. You get nothing.
Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
Just took a stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face.
Horror!
Wow, that didn't sound good.